Yo, what's up guys? My name is Samuel Leeds. Welcome to this week's Winners on a Wednesday. I'm a property investor, but one of the things I love doing is helping, inspiring, training other people to become property investors, which is why it's fantastic to have Grant and Kay on the show. They're making around about £10,000 profit per month. Did I get your names wrong?
No.
Oh, great! Grant and Kay. So they're making around about £10,000 a month in property. They've quit their full-time jobs, and they've done that through the strategy of serviced accommodation. So I'm going to be picking their brains. We're going to be drawing upon lessons, sharing with you guys, so you can do the exact same thing too. So thank you so much for coming down to the offices all the way from Swansea.
No problem.
When did you guys, and how did you guys get started in property?
So, we met a couple of years ago, and getting into property was really Grant's passion. It wasn't really my thing. I've worked in mobile phones pretty much since I was a kid. And when me and Grant met, he was like, we've got to get into property because that's how we're going to get out of work. Well, obviously that was what we wanted to do. So he dragged me along to a 3-day event that just explained all the options, all the strategies available.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And because I was earning the least amount of wages, it made sense that I come out of work first.
Right.
And
you weren't on a small wage though.
I was on a small wage, but between the two of us, I was 30,000.
Okay, so you were 30,000.
Basic 30, yeah.
Okay.
So serviced accommodation it matched me because I could transfer a lot of my skills from my previous job role.
What was your previous job?
So I was a retail manager.
Okay,
for
so
20 odd years.
How's that similar to serviced accommodation?
Well, guest communication, guest relations,
true.
massive.
Customer service. You see, serviced accommodation is I always say property investing is a business. Yeah. Serviced accommodation, it really is a business. You've got they're not really tenants, they're customers.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
I guess that is a really important skill.
And then of course we've got our investors/clients that we manage their profit and loss for them. We do refurbs for them, so managing different groups of people all the time.
Yeah.
Being super organised, which was my thing anyway. Clearly not Grant's, but that's we found something that worked for me. And Grant's strength was how he formed into this was he was really good at finding the deals, setting up the communication between us and the investors, finding the investors to work with us.
Yeah.
And that's how we fell into.
So you're like the deal maker.
Yeah.
And then Kay, you then smooth it over and look after it.
I just do everything else really.
Everything else.
Well, do you know what? We're really lucky because both of us have strengths that complement each other.
Yeah.
So the one piece of advice that I can give to anyone is it can get lonely sometimes in doing any job. I mean, I did a field role and I was on my own all the time. So the best thing I can advise is to get someone that can complement your own skills and utilise your strengths, absolutely, but know when you've got weaknesses and try and leverage those weaknesses with people that are good at them.
For sure.
I couldn't go out buying stuff for a house and setting it up and making it look pretty, but Kay can absolutely do that.
But then
really,
you can
really
find
well.
the deals. What was the passion then, Grant? What was the real driving force? I know, like, property is a vehicle to achieve money, right? Or at least that's how I kind of see it. What was the driver? Why did you want to get Kay out of a job?
So, we were in relationships beforehand. We both got divorced. I met Kay, or Kay met me. We both met each other, and I decided to move to Swansea from, as you can probably tell, I'm not Welsh. I'm from this side of the country, near sort of Gatwick way. And when I moved to Wales, there was one thing that I realised is that the property prices were a hell of a lot cheaper than down there.
Oh yeah.
So that's what initially sparked my thought of, I could do this.
Right.
But what I didn't realise was actually when I got myself educated, because that's the next thing that I'd say is, whether you read books, whether you watch YouTube videos, whether you go and pay for a course or an event or a seminar or whatever that is, get yourself educated. Because when I got educated, I realised you can do property anywhere in the country. And if I'd have known that information when I lived down this side of the country, the property prices wouldn't have scared me.
Right, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly, 'cause sometimes it's the same story, you just have a zero on the end. And actually, in expensive areas, you can make even more money than in cheaper areas. But the problem is the barrier entry, is so much higher. It at least appears in London, a lot of people just take themselves out of the game straight away because they're scared by the zeros.
Yes, yeah.
But now you're in Wales and you're thinking, wow, there's houses for like 80 grand, 50 grand in some parts, some villages, 100 grand. Like, this is kind of doable. So talk me through your first deal and how that happened.
Oh God.
Wow, the first deal. So I'd read out hundreds of books and educated myself and helped try and educate Kay as best as I possibly could. But Kay worked so hard that she had so much time dedicated to her current job that I just went out there and started doing it. So the key thing for me was massive action all the time. So I was obsessed with Rightmove, Zoopla, with Gumtree. And do you know what's quite funny? I got my first deal off of Gumtree.
Wow.
So I kept messaging people on Gumtree. A lot of people told me to go away, to piss off, and I was just like, I shot down.
Who are you messaging?
Just people on Gumtree with properties.
So anyone who has a house?
We decided what our strategy was going to be. So we were looking into serviced accommodation. So I was looking for a place to rent that was a 2 to 4 bedroom terraced house in Swansea that was within 2 miles of the city centre.
Yeah.
So once I'd found something that suited that, I'd send them a message. And to be fair, I sent tons of messages to tons of people. And then this one person just piped up and asked a few questions. And that's when I saw my in and started explaining it to him. And it was really nice to get that first deal over the line, because that's probably the hardest bit about getting involved in property, and also thinking that it's possible as well. Because actually, you might try a couple times and then quit and think, oh, I'm not going to do it. But the trouble is, if you quit, that's when you can't do it. It doesn't matter whether it takes you a week to get your first property or whether it takes you a year to get your first property. If you quit, you're never going to do it. Yeah. But if you get that first one, it's sort of like it bursts the mold.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Sure.
When you pop that balloon, it just starts flushing through, and it really is. You start getting deal after deal after deal, because your confidence goes from, oh, I haven't got my first deal yet, to I know what I'm doing. Yeah. And actually that mindset change, even though your skills probably are exactly the same as they were before, the mindset change takes you from one place to another.
I love that. I always say your first deal is always your hardest deal.
Yeah, so we had to learn a lot of lessons from our first deal though. Yeah, definitely.
Because not just the securing it, but the management of it. If it's a serviced accommodation, everything, you're negotiating the deal for the first time, but then you're doing everything for the first time. Yeah. So it sounds like you had a bit of a nightmare.
Well, it wasn't a nightmare, but Grant, you know, in some of the old houses you get like that wood chip wallpaper. Yeah. And Grant was like, yeah, we'll just paint over it. And I was like, yeah, no.
This is why I don't do design.
That's not going to work. We have to take this off. And in doing so, all the walls just fell down, and we had to replaster the whole house.
You know what? This is Wales for you, though. This is Wales. Yeah. I've got houses in Wales, and honestly, the walls there's so much damp in the houses. The walls sometimes just fall down. It happens.
So we did have to dip into our wedding fund. At the time, and I think it was about 3,500, wasn't it?
Are you glad you dipped into your wedding fund?
Oh, absolutely.
Because the thing is, I have people say things to me like, "I've got 10 grand saved up for my wedding," and I'll say, "Just invest it in yourself, man. Go spend it on a program or a property or something. Don't." You know, and it really freaks people out, because most people's minds it's like, this is the most important thing. But if you get married, if you get married and your wedding day is gone in a day, man. So,
well, that property made back that money we'd reinvested before the wedding.
Yeah, there we go. So talk me through the figures then. Okay, so this property that you bought, that you rented, and then you rented out in service accommodation, right? Yeah. How much did you have to put in, and how much were you making off that per month since?
I will divert that to Grant, because he's the numbers man.
Go on. You make everything pretty, he's the deal maker. Go on.
So the numbers on the first property were, we secured a 3-bedroom terraced house for £450 a month in Swansea, within 2 miles of the city centre. It's actually a 5-minute walk from the Liberty Stadium.
Nice.
So it was a really, really good location. Obviously, we made a little bit of a boo-boo in terms of the anticipating how much it would cost to set up.
Right.
So we had to end up paying an extra £3,500 to refurb the property. But the deal actually, because it was only £450 a month, it worked out that we were getting a good deal over the 3 years anyway.
How much are you making a month on that?
So per month, that property averages £2,300 in bookings every month.
Wow.
In our first month, we started making money straight away.
Did you make me want to turn my Wales houses into service accommodation properties? I've got some really nice houses in Wales that I know would work for service accommodation, but I've got such lovely tenants in. I just haven't got the heart to kick them out.
Do you know what? I think it's a balance really, because like. You know, there are lots of people that want to visit Wales, and that's where serviced accommodation provides a great service. But also, you've got the balance of we don't want to take too many houses because then no one will have anywhere to live.
Yeah.
But
there's a really, it's crazy because in Swansea area, and not just Swansea, a lot of Wales, like Cardiff, the houses are so cheap to rent. You can rent a nice 3-bed house for like £450, £500.
Yeah.
But then they are popular tourist destinations
as well.
Yeah.
So that's why it lends itself quite well to serviced accommodation, because there's a lot of development going on. That, like, as an example, if you fast forward to today, there's lots of purpose-built student accommodation going up, which has hurt the HMO market in Swansea massively. Yeah. But they didn't quite finish the student accommodation in time, right, for the new semester.
Right.
So we secured a £35,000 booking for students that needed to stay in our properties for a period of 6 weeks while they were finishing the student accommodation.
Yeah.
So while those purpose-built buildings are hurting the HMO market, and this isn't to say that Swansea is a bad place for HMOs, you just have to change your tactic a little bit.
Yeah.
But with serviced accommodation, with extra students, not only do we benefit from friends and family visiting, but we also benefit from the hiccups that happen in these developments because, you know, not only do we cater for the contractors that are working on them, but we also cater for mistakes and delays in the accommodation for the students as well.
Yeah.
So it has a knock-on effect to everything.
How many Winners Wednesdays have you watched on my channel, do you reckon?
I probably watch a couple. I to be honest, when I watch YouTube videos, I literally press play on whatever series it is, and it just goes through everything.
Yeah.
So I probably had a couple.
Because I know you guys have like consumed all of my online content and books, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest thing that you've learned that's helped you in your journey?
Specifically from, I would say your book was really good.
Which one? Buy Low Rent High.
Buy Low Rent High, yeah. And it's that concept of because I read it really early on in doing my property stuff, and it was probably actually when I read that, it was just as we were deciding what to do. And actually the Buy Low Rent High strategy was really inspirational, because actually it takes, and it's not, it can come across, the reason why I didn't read it at first, because I read the title and I was like, oh, does that seem a little bit off to me? Like, should I be, you know, doing people out of money both ends?
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, interesting.
And that was why I didn't
moral, ethical kind of couple, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You like to add value, you like to help people. So you're thinking this whole lot of this, you see my book title a couple of years ago, Buy Low, Rent High. You know, like, you know, how to squeeze the maximum penny.
Yeah.
But obviously it's not like that.
But I read the book, and actually it's just, you know, looking at every angle for everyone. So buy at the lowest possible price that works for everyone.
Yes.
And rent at the highest possible price that works for everyone. And
Absolutely.
it's that works for everyone bit that was sort of missing from the title for me, that I didn't put
Most people don't
together.
care though, they just want to make the money.
I know.
Most people aren't thinking about, but what about the poor investor or the poor or a tenant or whatever?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you try and rent a property out for more than it's worth, it just won't rent.
It won't rent.
No, and people will only pay what it's worth anyway.
Yeah. So Buy Low Rent High is really just a case of buy a property in an area where you can get properties low, but still demand the rents high, where you can make the property so attractive because you've got people like Kay making it amazing that you can rent it really high but invest as little as possible and get a good return.
I guess the most I say inspirational thing that I saw, and this has just come to mind, was the Financial Freedom Challenge that you did. That was really, really good. And you know, you could see the genuinity behind what you were doing, and yeah, absolutely, people starting out in property aren't going to have the knowledge that you have, but I think the message is still the same. If you've got the knowledge, you can start with nothing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I did the exact same strategies what you guys are doing, which is service in my first Financial Freedom Challenge. Same story in Sheffield.
That was the one I watched.
Right, so just got and you've basically almost mirrored that, done the same in Swansea, and now you're working working on bigger things.
We started with £30,000 worth of. Well, I started with £30,000 worth of debt.
Wow.
And I haven't paid it off because I chose to keep it as a debt and manage it on a monthly basis. But we have banked that money in the bank, so if I wanted to pay it off, I could.
Yeah.
But we've got the cash there, so I'd rather have the cash.
How long? Yeah, of course. How long was it, Kay, then before deciding you want to get into property? You know, doing some training, and then actually being in a position where you can quit your job. Like, how long did that take?
Well, we started in January 2018.
Yeah.
And I left work in October.
Okay, so that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And what about yourself, Grant? Because I know you've now quit work as well.
Yeah.
And your income was even higher, so it's not easy to replace.
Yeah, so Kay was nervous, and she still had a £60,000 wage from me coming in, right? So when I quit, that was a tough decision to make because we did have to make sure that the money was coming in. So Kay did a fantastic job in driving the business forward when she quit work, because there was no point her quitting work and not moving it forward.
Yeah.
So I could quit work, and when Kay quit, we had 4 properties. 2 that we had ourselves, and then the rest under management.
Yeah.
So Kay then grew it from 4 to 18, which is when I quit.
Nice.
And
18, that's incredible.
And I left my job. Well, I handed my notice in July.
Yeah.
And I left in September.
Fantastic. What's life like now then as full-time property investors?
Busy, but exciting, and you're investing all that time back on yourself.
Yeah.
When you get up in the morning, you're just more engaged and excited about what you're going to do for the day, because you know you're doing it for you. You're not doing it for anyone
I'm
else.
working harder.
Yeah, we are working harder.
It's odd, right? Like you do it to have freedom and more time.
Yeah.
And absolutely there's freedom and more time. But I choose to work harder in the time that I've got.
But then that's like most people that, you know, that succeed in property. They think they want to do it to lie on a beach forever.
No.
But actually, no, but sometimes people think that. But they think that they're going to want to do that. But I've never met anyone, unless they're maybe really, really old and they've worked a really, really long, hard life, but I've never met anyone, certainly who I've trained, who wants to become financially free, then just wants to lie on the beach forever. What happens is they then get gripped by a mission or a purpose, and they get addicted to growth, growing themselves. They get addicted to whatever they're doing. So, I mean, what would you say your biggest reason why is? What's the real reason?
I think our biggest reason, well, I have 2. One is definitely joint, but the biggest one is leaving a legacy for our kids. We have 4 children between us, and giving them the best start in their life that they can have.
Yeah.
And then the second one for me is just when we decide to slow down, not necessarily stop, slow down, it's actually just spend every day with each other and enjoy each other's time and do whatever it is that we want to do in the moment without having to take into consideration finances or, you know, responsibilities. Is just, you know, let's just go to Italy next week. Let's just do it. This whatever. And that's my passion. That's
amazing. And you can do that now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What is phenomenal is the change in our children since we've decided to go on this path. You know, our 16-year-old daughter has got such an entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah. She's started up her own business in our blooming office.
Wow.
Our one of our sons is basically writing down his goals and what he wants to achieve and his house that he wants to have when he's older, and really descriptive as to what he wants.
That's great.
You know
what that is though? You've not had to give your kids money, but what's happened is you've been a role model to them.
Yeah.
And when they see you stepping out of your comfort zone and growing and being excited, you become a role model, and then I think kids will then pick that up. And honestly, the best gift you can get, I mean, I've got 2 kids as well, a lot younger than your kids, but I think the best gift I can give my kids is my best self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, rather than, and I'm not planning on giving my kids any money.
It's that whole thing, if you teach someone to fish, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you teach someone to fish, they can feed themselves for a lifetime.
But most teachers, like school teachers, even if you go to business school, you're learning off someone who's not doing it.
Yeah.
No.
Whereas
exactly.
So you can send your kids to the top business schools and stuff, but they're going to learn from it. It's fake.
Yeah.
It's just theory. And you can, if you try and teach your kids, be happy, or I'll choose the right partner, and I'll be successful and follow your dreams. But you're not following your dreams. You're not taking any risks. you're not. Then they're not going to listen to what you say. They're just going to copy what you do.
Yeah.
I think that's. So it's great to see what you guys are doing.
Well, you become the 5 people that you spend your most time with, don't you? So our kids spend a lot of time with us.
Yeah.
So we're one of those, or two of those 5 people that they
right.
spend their time with.
Yeah.
And the exact same thing is happening with one of my best friends that's decided to come and live with us. So one of my best friends decided to come and live with us. He's always been great with his hands, you know, a maintenance man, extremely good at refurbs, but he's never been successful. He came and lived with us, and he started up his own company, and he's got 3 people working for him now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And he's only been with us for less than a year,
Less than
9
a year.
months.
That's a great setup. And I think as well, you can't help people by being. So if you want to help the poor, you can't help them by being poor, can you?
No.
But you can only pull people up.
Yeah.
You know. So and when you're in a position of abundance and when you've become successful, it's so easy to pull people up.
Yeah.
So that's great that you're doing that. Give me the top 3 best tips then in regards to what you've done within service accommodation specifically, because I know people are going to be watching this thinking, you know, that's great for you, but how? Like, what are the best? If you can both give me some tips, maybe a few tips. Go ahead, Grant.
I'll do the first one, you do one, and then I'll do the last one. Yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
The number one biggest tip, and this is you know, or anything that you do, is to never ever stop taking action every single day.
Yeah.
I want to give one specific to serviced accommodation, and that would probably be never ever stop trying to find deals.
Yeah.
If you're always searching and always looking to find deals,
Love that.
things will always be there when you need it.
Yeah.
And actually, it's better to have more than you need than not enough.
That's brilliant. You know what? Great. Love that point so much, because a lot of people, they get 2 or 3 deals and then they think,
I'll stop for now.
Yeah, I'll stop for now. But you know what that's like saying? That's like saying every time I'm hungry, I'll go to the shop.
Instead of stocking up your cupboards
you
ready
want to
for when
stock
you
up
need
your
food.
cupboards. And then it's like, right, I'm hungry, boom, boom, you know, so love that. Come on, Kay, give us some wisdom.
Okay. So for me, particularly, it would be, we didn't do this by ourselves. We were always surrounding ourselves by people who were in the serviced accommodation industry already, so that we could learn from people that were doing it.
Yeah.
You know, we started out with nothing, but we haven't got what we've got from just ourselves. It's the education. So we are a part of a group that we talk to about service accommodation on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
We attend certain meetings to do with property and engage with people that are like-minded. So don't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
It will just take you longer to get where you want to go.
That's brilliant.
Just
That's brilliant.
be around people that do the same thing that you want to do.
And it's
Constantly feed yourself.
Yeah.
It's environment, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they said, I don't know if it's true, but they said if you put a baby shark in a fish tank, it will never grow more than 8 inches.
Yeah.
Because it can't. And in the same way, that's such a brilliant tip. Education is important, and one of the reasons that we put on training programs and have Facebook groups and things is so people can get the knowledge. But just as importantly, I think, is the environment. So awesome. Number 3.
Number 3. I've been trying to think of the third one.
Service accommodation, building up the...
Do you know what? Yeah, I'd say the highest value task in a serviced accommodation business.
Yeah.
Kay might not like me for saying this, but it is absolutely revenue management.
Yeah.
The highest value task.
What do you mean by that?
Revenue management. So managing your prices, understanding where your customers are coming from, and who your customers are, and how your pricing reflects those customers.
How do you do that?
So there's a number of ways of managing it. I've only got 1 to 4 properties, I'd say you can do it all yourself manually. And
how do you find out the market and what you're going to get and how much you can charge?
So in terms of the market, you have to be all over the online travel agents. So the key to is Booking.com and Airbnb. We do a lot of our research actually on Booking.com over Airbnb because it's a lot easier to see all of the competition as well, because you want to compare yourself to hotels.
So what are you looking for? So you're on Booking.com. Let's say you've got a little property in Swansea in Church Road and you're thinking, I wonder if this is going to work.
Yeah.
You're going to go on Booking.com and you're going to see what else is around that proximity, maybe within how far? Quarter of a mile? Half a mile?
You can do it in quite a decent proximity, a couple miles maybe.
Yeah. Okay. And you're going to be, what are you specifically looking for? You're looking for how much are they charging and what are people paying? What else are you looking for?
You're looking for where you're looking for exactly that. So you're looking for where you could realistically charge to get bookings and what quality the accommodation needs to be at.
Yeah.
And once you've got that picture in your head, all it is looking at what you could possibly charge.
And are you looking for the how full the hotels are?
You're not necessarily on booking.com. Actually, if you do a search for dates, it'll actually tell you, as long as you're on a desktop. I think it tells you on a mobile now, but on a desktop it tells you what percentage the area is filled up by. And a good test is anything that's over 70% full.
Right.
And so if you look at next week as an example, and it's 70% full, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a really good place to be.
So how do you compare? It might be that there's hotels that are filled up 70%, but they're things like, Holiday Inn, Hilton, and then you're thinking, but I've just got this little house. What does a customer think when they're looking at these different options and then they see your property? Do they know that they're booking onto just a little house, and how do they feel about that?
I think you've got to look at what people are paying per person. So one of the people that we worked with or worked alongside and learnt with previously did per person per night as a company. And it is a fantastic concept because it not only allows you to market yourself right, but also gives you a good gauge as to how you price yourself as well. Yeah. So where serviced accommodation comes into its own is with 3 and 5 people. Because 2 people, you can get a hotel room. 3 people, and you're probably going to have to get 2 hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So per person, 2 hotel rooms is going to be a lot more expensive than getting a small house.
Yes. And that's what you specialise in, right? So you don't get little 1-bed studios and rent them out. You're getting a house, and then the market is people that might be in a group, and they're thinking it's going to be a fortune for us to book 4 rooms at the Holiday Inn. We don't want to share a double bed. We'll get a room. Yeah. We'll get a house, that's got 3 rooms. There's a lounge. There's a little sitting kitchen. Perfect.
We don't do anything below 2 bedrooms.
No.
How high end, Kay? How high end do you go?
I'd go higher if I could, but my budget restricts me.
How high? What does it look like? When you walk in, how's it compared to, say, Holiday Inn?
Oh, do you know what? It's the finishing touches.
It's way nicer, right? It's way nicer than Holiday Inn.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But the thing is, you've got to go, and I know you do it on a budget, which is awesome, but you've got to go, I think, high end when you do serviced accommodation, especially if you want to be getting decent people. Yeah. And I don't think it costs that much to make it look really nice.
No, it doesn't actually, especially if you shop like I shop.
Where do you shop?
Oh no, I'm a good shopper. I get the deals.
Where do you go though?
Oh, Dunelm is a great place in Swansea.
Dunelm, yeah.
Home Sense, they have amazing art for walls.
Right.
Really.
Your face is lighting up now when I'm asking.
I know.
You're just visualising yourself in Dunelm.
I'm starting to switch off.
Grant's been like, oh my goodness.
He actually, the first week he left work, he came around with me, and I was actually set up a house, and he was driving the car and doing all the heavy lifting, and he was like, never ever again will I ever do shopping with you.
Fair enough.
This is ridiculous.
What I did say specifically is I said this is a really bad use of my time.
Right. But a really, really good use of Kate's time.
My time,
because and that's great playing to you.
I'd rather have paid someone £10 an hour to go around and do it with her if she just wanted something heavy lifting. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because my time's worth more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important point actually. I mean, when do you decide whether you outsource something or not?
I think we decide that when either it becomes it just taking up too much of our time and it is something that we can outsource, or potentially it's going to be a role that's going to belong to somebody long term, and we'll actually recruit someone to do that permanently.
Full time. Do you have any staff yet?
Yes. Well, obviously we've got cleaners, which we employ.
They're like freelance, outsourced. Yeah. They work part time.
But we've got one full-time employee who started off as a property manager, but we know as it develops, her strength is in guest relationship management. She's probably going to move into that role as we grow, because it will become a full-time role.
That's great. You see, what I think is, I always just think, if I'm anything that I'm doing, I just think, could I pay someone to do this? and how much would they charge, and is that less than my hourly rate?
Absolutely.
And
That's
if the an-
exactly what he
right,
said.
well that's because that's correct.
I know what my worth is.
Yeah, and if the answer, if you're, let's say you're worth £50 an hour within your property business, that's what you know your hourly rate is, which you've got to know your hourly rate. Why would you ever do anything ever, including washing the car, cutting the garden? Why would you do any, unless you just happen to love it and it recharges
That's
you?
exactly
you
it.
should not be doing it.
So there's two rules to how I identify whether I outsource something. Do I really enjoy doing it?
You never will enjoy it really. You know
or is it worth my time?
But people lie sometimes. I have some of my students, they're like, oh no, I like doing this. And I'm like, really? well, come on. You know, like a bit, I enjoy washing the car. I mean, I enjoy cutting the garden. Yeah, I know, but having to do it, having to cut the lawn in the summer every week or two, and it becomes, it's a burden. If you enjoy doing it, then why aren't you cutting everyone's lawn and the neighbours and everything? You don't enjoy it, you know. Okay, so what's next then for you guys? How much are you making a month at the minute then? Profit.
So profit, we are looking at, if we take everything that we have. So we do have a buy-to-let property. We've got
everything property.
With everything property, we're making over £10,000 profit per month.
Respect, man. Respect. That's amazing. And that's a big deal, because that's, for a lot of people, that's ultimate financial freedom, which means that not only do you not have to work to pay the bills, you don't have to work to have a really good life, which is a fantastic achievement. So what's next for you guys?
Well, Kay will explain what we're doing with the serviced accommodation business.
Yeah,
I'll talk
so
about the other thing.
We're going to be growing our business to 50 plus properties this time next year.
So you're going to scale it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously that will involve recruiting more people, having in-house staff that will be available 24/7.
Amazing.
And then we'll also be looking at other avenues of how we're going to...
What are you going to use them? What else? You should be using them for the profits, hopefully building your own.
So absolutely. So we're going to be using the additional profits to build up our own portfolio in assets, but also I'm going to be working with investors to start tidying up some of the rundown guest houses that are on Britain's seafronts. And that's something that I'm really passionate about.
So there's houses down the seafront that have run down. What are you going to do with them?
So the guest houses will buy them up. So with investors, buy like as an example.
You'll joint venture with people. So,
yes.
So that way you're thinking big scaling.
Yes.
Rather than having to work really hard, save money, and buy one. You're gonna raise the finance.
Absolutely.
Buy a house or houses down the seaside that need doing.
Yeah.
Do them up beautifully, and then what? Refinance them.
Yes. So
pull the money out, give it back to the investor.
Give them back to the investor and go from there.
And then rent them out how?
Sorry?
And then rent them out how?
It'll be a guest house. So what we're going to do is we're going to do almost like a serviced accommodation concept, but in a hotel format. So each room is going to have its own kitchenette and ensuite, and then each room is going to have its own code to get into.
Yes.
So you don't have a reception and you don't have a restaurant, because everyone has their own cooking facilities, and all you have is cleaners cleaning the common areas and the rooms.
Fantastic.
So there's no staff required.
What's your exit strategy if it doesn't work?
The exit strategy hopefully is death, but the thing with guest houses, right? Guest houses have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. So the likelihood of us needing to sell them isn't very likely, but if we needed to, we'd probably look at selling them.
So sale would be the exit strategy, but probably a very, very unlikely.
Yes.
Because I always say, whenever you're going into a business, you always need to look at best case, worst case, likely case.
Yes.
So I guess that would be absolute worst
case. That's our strategy with anything that we buy. Is if we needed to, if shit hit the fan, then we can sell the property and pull somebody out.
You started out by just making some calls to landlords and getting told no.
Yeah.
Going to a property event, watching YouTube videos, making those few calls, and now you're thinking, right, now we're making 10 grand a month, want to employ more people, 250. It's now real big, but it all starts from those first steps. Anyone watching this, what would be the thing right now that you would tell them, go and do this?
Go and do whatever it is you said you were going to do, and do it now. So everyone's got an idea about what actions they need to take to get them to the next step, and then so many people just keep putting it off. But if it's really your passion to go and achieve something, then you would make time and you would do it, and you would just face those fears.
Just to build on that, I think the one key thing that helped me was to stop shoulding all over yourself and turn your shoulds into must. Because if you keep saying every day, I should do this, I should do that, I should go and make this call, I should send this email, you ain't going to go and do it. You've got to do it. I must do this, I must do that. And that determination will make you take the action.
Yeah, great. So stop putting things off and procrastinating. Just do it.
Just go and do it.
Love that.
The Nike. Just do it.
Absolutely. Hey guys, it's been great. It's been great having you in the office. Thanks so much
thanks for having
us.
sharing the story, cheering you on all the way. Here for you guys. If you've been watching this video and you've been shutting all over yourself for the last few months or years, now's the time to do something a little bit different. So take action, pick up the phone, call some landlords, get yourself down to a networking event, come on down to one of our training events, just do something, take action, and I look forward to having some people on the show real soon that watch this video and were inspired. Thanks so much, I'll see you next time.